majority of the performances displayed here are historical examples based on Newton's signals found from the time period shown. While we've seen massive success in the past, I obviously can't guarantee any future specific trading results with Newton. Now, based on the backtesting, Newton signals posted a positive outcome about 80% of the time. I'll take you through a couple of the different stocks that it's worked the best on, including guys, some stocks that have been in a downtrend for the last few years and that still posted an 80% win rate. So buckle up, it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, the averages can be between 1 to 4% depending on the stock and the time frame you're using. Ultimately, guys, Newton is a tool for all traders, no matter who you are. If you're a swing trader, you're a day trader, if you're a scalper, whatever it is you trade. If you trade stock, ETFs, futures, Forex, Newton can do it all. But there's always a high degree of risk involved in trading. So, hi everyone, I'm Graham Lindman, and today you'll discover an effective new way to buy and sell stocks. It's a way of trading designed to help you pinpoint the exact day to buy in and then out of the markets. Now, I understand that sounds maybe a little bit far-fetched, and experts will tell you that it's probably impossible to time the markets. But as you'll see, it's not just possible, it's something that you can repeat over and over again. It's all thanks to this proprietary smart code running in the background, and what you're looking at is 117 lines of code that can track and leverage the real reason that stocks move. It's the backbone for what I believe is the best buy and sell indicator available today. Once it's applied to your charts, it can help you pinpoint the exact day to buy in and then out of the market. There you see buy on green, sell when it flips back red. Now, the way it works is quite straightforward. All you have to do is buy when the candles flip to green and then sell when they turn back to red. For example, let's look at the S&P 500, ticker SPY. At the end of last year, the SPY had just given back 2 months worth of returns. Went down. Not good, right? Now, the majority of investors were certain that the downtrend would actually continue, and rightfully so. Many economists were predicting a recession in 2024. You guys remember those headlines? However, on November 13th, our indicator would have flashed its first green candle in more than 60 trading days. There you see it flip from red to yellow to green. Now, in this case, the indicator said it was the perfect day to enter the markets. And sure enough, it was spot on. It nailed it. Over the next 112 trading days, the SPY went on to make a new all-time high. Now, I could point to plenty of reasons why, this rally happened. It might explain it. The cooling inflation numbers, there you see it, right? CPI coming down, increase in some wages, even strong earnings projections. But I prefer to tell you this, none of that really matters. Because before any of those news events came to pass, our indicator gave us the buy signal. Again, flip from red to yellow to green. It's that easy. And anyone who would have bought on green and then sold on red could have ridden the S&P 500 all the way back to new all-time highs. So if you're a stock trader, every $5,000 would have turned into $5,864. But if you're an options trader, that same $5,000 stake would have turned into $13,150. And it's all thanks to this proprietary buy and sell indicator. Now, I call it Newton, and it's the most advanced indicator I've ever released. Like I said, the code behind the indicator, it measures the underlying force behind a stock's movement. And by leveraging this force, it can show us the exact day to buy in and out of the market, regardless of conditions, regardless of sentiment. For example, let's step back to the bear market of 2022. Now, at the time, every major tech stock was underwater, including one of my favorite stocks, Apple. Now, over that 2-month span, the stock shed $30 a share. Sentiment surrounding Apple was so bad that even the famed investor, Michael Burry, took a short position on the stock. This is the big short guy. He knows a thing or two about taking the stock lower. However, July 7th, Newton issued a buy signal. There you see the green candle. Once again, you can see how the candles flip from red to yellow to green. Green means buy, and in this case, Newton said that it was the optimal day to enter the stock. Sure enough, Newton was right yet again. Over the next 39 days, Apple rallied higher. Now, looking back, we could point to several reasons that might explain this particular rally. That includes plans of a new iPhone launch, an earnings beat, but again, none of that matters. Because before either of those events occurred, Newton signaled a buy alert on Apple stock before any of that came out. Anyone who would have bought on green and then sold on red could have captured a 16% return on the underlying stock. That's the equivalent of about a 200% gain on the options. Every $5,000 could have quickly transformed into something like $15,000. Now, I've been trading the markets for more than 10 years now. I attended some of the top universities in the country, and I've even studied under 2 of the top minds in finance. but nothing has had a bigger impact on my success than Newton. Frankly, it's my crowning achievement. You see, Newton is a project that I completed in 2023, and the goal was to build a tool to help me validate our entries and exits across my different services. In December, it played a key role in helping us ride Apple for a 319% return. This was a real trade, real money. Put my own money on the line here. And then in July, it helped us do it again. This time we closed 436% return on Apple in 53 trading days. In fact, it's played a critical role in many of our best trades this year. 290% on Apple, 343%, 97% on the SPY, 85% on Apple, 102 over and over again. And that's why I'm here today. I'd like to share Newton with anyone who wants to become a better trader or investor. It's made a huge impact on my trading, and I think it can do the same for you. In fact, it's one of the few tools that removes the technical out of technical trading. And once it's applied to your charts, it can instantly transform them from a hard-to-follow mess to a treasure trove of buy and sell opportunities. Again, buy on green, you sell on red. How much easier can it get? For example, let's step back to February 20th. Now that's the day Newton would have isolated a buy alert on Devon Energy, ticker DVN. Once again, you can see how the candles turned green, clear as day. Now, anyone who's unfamiliar with Newton may have questioned this particular buy signal. After all, almost every major energy producer was trading well below their all-time highs. And that included Devon, which was down almost 50% on the stock price. That's not a good-looking trend, huh? Now, traditional wisdom would have told you to avoid the stock. But Newton doesn't rely on traditional wisdom or theories or anything like that. It leverages the underlying force behind the rise and fall of all stocks. And once again, Newton was right. There's that buy signal on February 20th. And by April, the stock had climbed 17%. Anyone who would have bought on green and then sold on red would have seen a 203% gain on the options. Now, if you're skeptical, you have every right to be. The timing of these signals seems very unlikely. But when you understand how the indicator works, it's really not uncommon at all. Now looking back, it accurately signaled almost every major upswing that we've seen this year. That includes the run-up in financials. I know if you guys were paying attention to Telegram, we took advantage of this the other day. The rally in Bitcoin, again, we have been taking advantage of this lately. The run-up in big tech, the rise of healthcare, and they even nailed the 319% rally from SMCI without a single false signal. That's on the underlying alone, guys. That's a really, really big result. Now, as incredible as that is, Newton was actually designed for a much greater purpose. It was designed to help us pinpoint the precise moments to enter and then exit the market. It was designed to help us ride all of those highs, those big upswings, and avoid the lows, avoid that chop in between. And today, I'm going to show you how it works and how to install it on your trading platform right away. Now, my hope is that you can leverage its power to make better investment decisions, maybe validate trades that you're already making, and most importantly, help you find opportunities that you may have otherwise just missed. Now, if this is your first live webinar with me, my name is Graham Lindman. I'm a senior options strategist here. Now, I'm a husband. I'm a father. As of May this year, I'm a father. But I'm also a die-hard trader, and I have been for a long, long time. More than a decade trading has been my life. I've never had any interest in speaking on Fox, CNBC, or Bloomberg, but I have hundreds of screenshots showing my best real money results, including a $5,000 winner here on UiPath. It's actually $7,120 on UiPath, $17,000 on Fortinet. We traded that twice now together, and even a $34,000 winner on Mara. Now, I'm not showing these results to brag to you, but rather to show you that I put my money where my mouth is. This year, many of my top strategies have posted triple-digit growth with accuracy rates greater than 70%. There you see the perfect Bitcoin trade, 81% win rate. We actually closed another one today, so that ticked up a little bit higher. And then NVIDIA Elite. You guys know about NVIDIA Elite. That one has a 76% win. That one also is now higher at 81%. Like I said, Newton is really good. And it's why more than 150,000 people from all around the country have followed my work. It's also why many of my top members consistently send me messages like this. Here's Mark said, made 450% on Graham's call on Path today. Thrilled to see how smart some of these youngsters are. Thank you, Mark. James says, great pick, up a little over $10,000. We'll be taking some profits soon. Richard wrote in, this is a no-brainer. All of your services are spot on in growing our accounts. Thank you, Graham, for all you do. Well, thank you, Richard, for the kind words. Diana said, all the trades were 100% winners. No losers. Jennifer says, hi, Graham, I'm up $5,000 on NVIDIA right now. Modi, You have been consistently spot on with all my Progressive and General Electric trades, and boy, oh boy, have we traded those over and over again for some nice profits. Now, as great as that is, I owe much of my success to the insights that I've gathered from Newton. You see, it's not just another indicator. It's actually a quantum leap forward for both traders and investors. It's smart, it's strategic, and in my opinion, it's the most useful indicator for buying and selling stocks. And today, I'll share everything, including what's behind these colored candles, how they're able to accurately define buy and sell opportunities, the underlying force that makes it all possible, and how you can start leveraging Newton in your own Thinkorswim account this afternoon before the markets close. I'll even share some of its newest signals free of charge for you guys today. But before we get there, I'd like to remind you, Newton is not magic. You guys know this. It can't guarantee a winning outcome 100% of the time. Nothing can, guys. There's winners and losers in trading, and that's just par for the course. Now, it gives signals based on the real reason stocks move, and that's critical regardless of what kind of trader you are. You see, despite the market breaking all-time highs this year, very few stocks have actually been driving the performance of it. In fact, just 3 out of every 10 stocks in the S&P are actually beating the index. That means most stocks are lagging behind the SPY. Most stocks are falling behind. And that's the lowest number since 1947. I've shown you guys this. This is the hardest year to be a stock picker in over 50 years. And that's while the markets are making all-time highs. It's unlike anything we've seen before. Now, that's really bad for most people. But here's the thing you got to know. This small number of stocks has also had the highest concentration of market momentum. Here you see momentum. It's at all-time highs there among those few stocks carrying the market. These are stocks like NVIDIA, General Electric, Progressive, and Eli Lilly. Now, if you've been focused on momentum stocks like we have in my programs, you've probably done quite well. But if you haven't, it's probably been a tough year. You have to remember, momentum is what drives the market. When momentum levels are high, stocks traditionally move higher. But when they're low, stocks traditionally move lower. This is just common sense, guys. You see, momentum is the single most dominant factor behind the rise and fall of all stocks out there. And it's why the majority of hedge funds are actually using momentum strategies in 2024. It's so important. Yet most folks never consider momentum when opening a new position. And that's because you can't point to it on a chart. You can't just eyeball it, and most of the time you can't even see it. But that's where Newton begins. It's able to quantify momentum levels into a tradable signal. In other words, it's able to show us which stocks are displaying the highest levels of momentum. Now, when our candles turn green, it means momentum levels are very high. They're above average. And when the candles are red, it means momentum levels are actually really low and dropping hard. For example, let's look at ticker ARM. In April, you can see how the candles were all red. Again, Newton automatically flips the color of the candle for you. So you just pull it up, you see all red. Not good, right? That's a clear indication that momentum levels were extremely low on ARM. Now, as expected, shares shed 9% of its value during that time. Not good. However, on May 13th, the candles would have flipped right to green. In this case, it told us that momentum levels were high enough to support a tradable move. Now look at this. There's nothing really out of the ordinary here. You can't look at the chart and say, wow, this is such an explosive move. It barely moved, but Newton picked up the increase in momentum, and the candles were flipped to green. Sure enough, shares rose by a whopping 45% over the next 2 months. 45% on the underlying alone. For you options traders, that's the equivalent of about a 227% return if you just bought when it flipped green, sold when it flipped back red. However, I want to make one important note here. As great as that is, notice how the candles turned red on July 18th. Again, that's our sell signal. Take your profits. We're out of the position. Well, that's also a clear indication that momentum was no longer elevated. And as expected, shares came crashing right back down. But in this instance, it wouldn't have mattered one bit. Anyone who would have bought on green and then just sold on red would have been in and out well before the crash. You see, momentum, it can't stay elevated forever. You guys know this. It fluctuates based on price action, buying pressure, and a handful of other market factors. So if you've recently entered a trade and it turned against you, it's not because you're a bad trader. You likely bought at a time when momentum levels were just too low. But that's the real beauty behind Newton. It was designed to help ensure that we're only trading stocks with high levels of momentum. As long as the candles are green, we know that momentum is high enough to move the stock in our desired direction. For example, let's look at what happened on May 17th, the day after my birthday. That's the day that Newton issued a buy signal on Delta Airlines. I want you to remember this ticker because I'm going to bring it up later. But here we go. May 17th, automatic buy signal here in Delta Airlines. There you see the candles flip to green. Once again, right when the candles turned green. And in this case, it told us that momentum levels were high enough to support a tradable move. And sure enough, Delta climbed 34% by the time that candles turned red again. That's on the underlying stock again. Straight up, flips red, we're out, we take our profits and we run. Now, $5,000 into the underlying stock would have turned into $6,700. Not bad. But $5,000 into the options would have grown to more than $18,000. Now, for some of you, that might be life-changing money. For others, it's barely a drop in the bucket. But regardless of where you stand, it's certainly enough to move the needle in your day-to-day life. I know it can help catch up on some bills, maybe pay off the credit card for the month. Restock the emergency fund. There's nothing wrong with saving a little cash on the side. Maybe it's getting the car fixed, or maybe it's getting new rims on the car, paying down the mortgage, whatever it may be. Now, of course, I'm not saying Newton can guarantee a winner 100% of the time. We're all smart enough to know that nothing is 100% accurate. That's not how trading works. Losses are possible. That's why you should never bet the farm on any single position. That said, I've tested countless stocks against Newton, both good and bad. Many of them posted accuracy rates upward of 80%. For example, when we backtested NVIDIA against Newton signals, it won 82% of the time dating back 5 years. That means out of the 57 unique buy and sell signals, 47 of them were winners. What's funny enough is that we actually tested on the 5-minute, the 15 minutes, the daily, and the weekly, and we got the code optimized to automatically adjust no matter the time frame, and still produce that 82% win rate. Now, the average return per trade was nearly 5% on the underlying, which is about 50 to 100% on the options. And thanks to Newton, I got to take part in some really awesome moves on the more recent trades here, including a 94% winner there, $2,000 in profit for me, 100% winner on NVIDIA, 142% winner on NVIDIA, and you guys have probably been taking part in some of that NVIDIA success lately if you've been following along. That said, many stocks performed even better than NVIDIA. For example, Kava. Anyone in here own Kava? We rode that one up from $42 to $140. It has been the best stock all year. Well, that one's posted a 90% win rate by trading it with Newton. Eli Lilly, another stock that we bought back at 600, went up to 900. Well, that one, if you trade it with Newton, day trade, swing trade, whatever you might want to do with it, 91% win rate historically. Now, of course, I didn't just backtest the market's best stocks. I actually tested plenty of duds, too. I wanted to see that this works on all stocks, not just the stocks that are really good and going up. Let's look at UAL, for example, United Airlines. Now, if you were to Google the stock, you'd see that it's lost 41% of its value over the last 5 years. It's just gone down. No good, right? It peaked in 2019, and it has traded lower ever since. However, according to our historical tests, by simply buying on green and selling on red, it would have produced a 148% total return with an 81% accuracy rate. You guys can see these green moves here are some of the best periods in the stock. And this is a screenshot straight from my Thinkorswim. That's not even using options, guys. To put that in perspective, simply holding the stock would have lost you 41% on your money. Markets would have gone to all-time highs, and you would have been seeing your account dry up. That's not good. But following Newton would have resulted in a 148% return over 80 different signals on one of the worst stocks on the planet. You guys see the power of that. Now, I don't know of any other system, tool, or indicator that has the ability to do something like that. And that's why I wanted to share Newton with you today. I believe it could drastically improve the way that you buy and sell stocks. And I've experienced it firsthand. So whatever your goals might be, you'll have the additional support to help you achieve them. Maybe your goal is to grow your trading account. Maybe it's to help supplement your income. I think everybody would like a little extra cash flow right now. Maybe it's to save up and book a dream vacation. Whatever it is, I believe it will be much more attainable with Newton in your corner and on your charts, especially right now. You see, for the first time since 2019, the Fed cut interest rates. We've talked about this a lot. It just happened. Historically speaking, the market performs extremely well in the next 12 months following the first rate cut. I've given you guys so many classes showing you that these next 12 months should be so bullish, it's not even believable. Just look at the charts here, guys. The S&P 500 has posted positive returns 12 out of the last 14 times that the Fed has started cutting rates. You see, rate cuts typically push money towards the stock market. Following the September rate cut, we saw $38.5 billion flood back into stocks. That's billion with a B. That's a lot of money. According to Barron's, that was the highest influx of cash in months. It's piling back in. And that's why we saw a rally in many momentum-oriented stocks, including Vistra Corp, AMD, and even ANET, which I love ANET right now. That's a ticker you might want to write down. According to my estimates, there's roughly $6.5 trillion that could flood back into stocks from the money market accounts. And it might not be all of it, but imagine what $1 trillion would do if 38 billion just pushed us to all-time highs. But here's the thing, guys. That money, it's not going to flow into every stock out there. It's going to go where it has the best chance to grow. And right now, that's into momentum-oriented stocks. Like I told you guys, there's 25% of the market is being pulled up, or the market is being pulled up by 25% of the stocks. There's a very small basket of high momentum stocks doing all the heavy lifting. And with Newton in our corner, we'll know exactly which stocks those are. Now, in just a minute, I'll share a few new trade entries with you completely free. But before we get there, let me show you what's behind these colored candles. Let me show you how it works. Strangely enough, it all starts with those bars you see down there. Now, you may have noticed how they're perfectly in sync with the candles above. That's because they're actively displaying momentum levels in real time and in a way we have never seen before. Now, as you can imagine, that's not an easy task, but that's where our smart code comes into play. It's able to quantify momentum levels into a tradable signal. Now, in order to do that, it has to account for several technical factors. This includes price acceleration. Notice as this thing slingshots up, we're seeing some slingshot down here. Also the rate of change and the variance between multiple EMAs, which I hit all this because I don't want you guys to have to see and deal with all this nonsense. From there, it can determine if momentum levels are trading above average or below the stock's normal average. Now, it might sound pretty complex, but it's actually really easy to understand. The red bars indicate that momentum levels are trading below the average range. So red means that the stock is actually moving below the average momentum level. And that's what causes the candles to flip to red. The yellow bars indicate that momentum is trading right about within its average range. So it's moving about average, nothing out of the ordinary. That's when the candles will turn yellow. But the green bars indicate that momentum is trading above its average range. This is when the candles will turn green, when it's moving faster than normal. And that's the secret behind Newton's accuracy. It can accurately determine if momentum levels are trading above or below a stock's average range. For example, let's look at Adobe. This is a prime example here. Notice all the bars are red, right? That's a clear indication that momentum levels were trading below the stock's average. It's not moving very fast. It's actually moving slower than average. And as expected, shares traded lower. They just drifted lower and lower. Under no circumstances would we want to enter the stock. However, May 19th, the bar turned yellow. In this case, momentum levels had moved back to their average range. This is kind of like us being on deck. Okay, we know Adobe it was red, momentum was negative momentum. Now it's average. Let's keep our eye on it. And when this happens, we know that momentum is rising, but it's not high enough to support a tradable move just yet. That said, the yellow bars indicate that momentum is shifting from one side of the spectrum to the other. And that's exactly what happened here. The bars flipped from yellow to green, indicating that momentum levels were now trading above its average range. And as expected, shares climbed 40% in just 56 trading days. Now, $5,000 into the stock here would have turned into $7,000. But $5,000 into the options would have turned into more than $23,000. Now, obviously, that's an incredible return. Not all of Newton's signals result in a grand slam like that one. Some signals, they may be smaller, some may actually be a loser. But here's what I want you to understand. It's very difficult for a stock to move lower when momentum is trading above its average range. Think about it. If a car is driving faster than normal, what are the chances it's going to run a slower lap? Not very high. And that's what makes Newton such a reliable indicator. As long as we see green, we know momentum is high enough to support a tradable move. For example, let's look at Costco. Notice how Newton was all red there. That was an indication that momentum levels were trading below the stock's average range. Now that's obviously not an ideal time to open a trade. However, notice how Newton turned yellow. This told us that momentum levels had moved back to their average range. Remember, we're shifting from red to green. Once again, this is a clear signal that momentum levels were rising, but not yet enough to propel the stock higher. So we're on deck, we're waiting. That said, the yellow bars almost always precede a green bar. Sure enough, November 10th, Newton turned green, and there you see, and as expected, shares rose 30% in just 82 trading days. 30% on the underlying stock. Now that just obviously blows out the S&P for an entire year, and it did it in just a few months. Now that's pretty incredible considering you wouldn't have had to do anything all that difficult. No deciphering chart patterns, no looking for pullbacks, no measuring momentum on your own. You just simply wait for Newton to turn green, then you can open a basic trade and close it out when it turns red again. Doesn't matter if you want to trade stocks, bonds, ETFs, Bitcoin, whatever it may be, Newton was designed to help us pinpoint the exact day to enter and exit the markets. For example, let's look at my favorite stock, Cava. I love this restaurant. I love their stock even more. April 26th, Newton turned green. Big buy signal there. On July 10th, it turned red. Clear-cut sell signal. That's a 345% gain on the options. What about American Express, ticker AXP? November 6th, Newton turned green. That's a buy signal. Actually, let's look at this real quick. If you're looking at this chart, do you see momentum? Do you see anything crazy out of the ordinary? You can't see it, but we can quantify it now, and Newton picked it up when no one else was paying attention. January 16th, it would have turned red again. So we bought, now we sold 300% on the options in 48 days. Then on January 26th, turned green again. And on April 5th, it turned back red. That's our sell signal. And it's another 263% ROI in 49 days there. Now, $2,500 into each of those trades would have turned into $19,125. And that's not enough to change your life overnight, but that's not what Newton's about. Newton is about isolating tickers backed with high amounts of momentum. It's about finding stronger setups more consistently, and it's about watching meaningful opportunities add up week after week. Which brings me to the signals that I'd like to share with you today. Now, these are stocks that could perform well over the next 30 days or more. Obviously, nothing in the markets is guaranteed, so please proceed with caution. Be smart here, guys. But if you'd like to write these down, grab a piece of paper, and I'll go ahead and share the charts here. Ticker number 1. Remember I said this earlier. It's a Delta Airlines. Write this one down. Last time, you guys can see here, last time momentum flipped from red to yellow to green, Delta went crazy. Shot up about 20-30% there in a matter of weeks. Well, it flipped again just about a month or two ago, and look how it's gone since. This one still has room to run, and I really like where Delta Airlines is at right now. What about BK? This Bank of New York, right here. Again, you see it flip from red to yellow to green. I wish I could go back to August and give this to you right here. Problem is, this has been just such a good high momentum stock. It keeps going higher, and it's showing no signs of slowing down. A little pullback here, but momentum is still elevated above average. BK is a great buy right now. And what about CRM Salesforce? This one is trading at a discount from where it was beforehand, but there you see it. The momentum was red. Not a time to buy. Yellow, we're on deck. It's average momentum. Bang. Flips up to green. That's above average momentum. And CRM has been trading at above average momentum pretty much ever since then, with a small pullback here to average momentum, but it's just flipped back green today. So this is a fresh buy signal for you. CRM is the ticker there. And today, for the first time, I want to actually share Newton with you. I want to give you the keys to the kingdom. And the reason why is simple. In the months ahead, the Fed will cut rates again. As a matter of fact, I expect them to do it next week? Here in November, guys. In fact, 2 rate cuts have already been scheduled, and I think each cut will unleash more of that $6.5 trillion currently sitting on the sidelines. And I think each one's going to do it at a more rapid pace than the previous one. Remember, we just saw $38 billion flood in, and it pushed the markets to all-time highs very, very quickly, which we were all over, by the way. We called the bottom, August 6th, called it, momentum flipped back, and we traded all the way up. That was $38 billion. Can you guys imagine what $100 billion might do? What about $1 trillion if it flips back to the stock market? Guys, we have a very, very short time window of bullish momentum ahead of us. And in my opinion, much of that will flood towards momentum-oriented stocks. And with Newton in your corner, we'll have the best chance to ride them higher together. So if you'd like to add Newton to your charts this afternoon, then I'd love to help you do that. You see, I put together a special package called the Newton Instant Access Guide. Inside, I'll share the smart code behind Newton and show you how to paste it on your Thinkorswim charts. Real nice and easy. It should only take you less than 60 seconds. And I'll also show you how to target investment opportunities with it, swing trade opportunities, and even day trade opportunities. You guys know I'm not a huge day trader. It's not really my thing. But I built Newton so it worked perfectly for you in a day trade environment. At the beginning of this class, I showed you that 5-minute chart of the NASDAQ. The QQQ has been red all day. A lot of people bought the gap up, hoping it'd go higher. No, Newton said stay away, it's red. Now, at the same time, it said IWM small caps green right at the open. It has been green ever since. Guys, you can use this to day trade like unlike anything I've ever seen before. You see, Newton is incredibly versatile. For swing traders and investors, it will give you signals that you can hold for a few days or a few months. Again, you just buy on green, sell on red. But if you prefer day trading, it can feed you quick in and out trade ideas too. It's perfect if you don't like holding trades for long periods of time. For example, let's look back what happened on September 11th. If you don't remember, NVIDIA sold off after the opening bell. There you can see the downtrend. Most folks assumed that a down day was coming ahead. However, at 10:05 a.m., Newton posted a big green candle. There you can see it flip from red to yellow to green here on the charts, and like always, it was a clear indication to open a position. Sure enough, shares rallied for the next hour and 40 minutes. Look at that, and then flip back red. Anyone who would have bought on green and sold on red could have seen a 31% gain on the option during that day. Now that's no different than starting the morning with $2,000 and collecting $620 in profit by the time you eat lunch. Again, we talked about cash flow. Some people want cash flow. Imagine if you opened up your brokerage at 10 a.m. and by the time you were eating lunch, it's $620. It doesn't matter if you're a day trader, if you're a swing trader, or an investor, Newton can help point you towards the stocks showing the highest levels of momentum. Now, before I share the sign-up link with you, I want to help you hit the ground running as quickly as possible. You see, once you have access to Newton, you'll be able to type in any ticker and see whether momentum levels are high enough to support an upward move. And with one glance, you'll know whether you should be targeting the stock or if you should be avoiding it. But I've done something extra special to help cut your learning curve in half. You see, I've reformatted the smart code behind Newton and turned it into a stock scanner. In short, it can scan through thousands of stocks and display the few that are showing the buy signals today. That means you don't have to sift through dozens of stocks just to find the one you want to trade. The scanner is programmed to do the heavy lifting for you. For example, September 12th, VST popped up on the top of the scanner. There you see it right there. Had you typed in the ticker, you would have seen a fresh green candle, a very tradable candle. And sure enough, the stock climbed more than 40% in just 12 trading days. Not bad, right? Every $2,500 into the stock would have paid $1,100 in profit. That's awesome. That's on the stock, guys. But every $2,500 in the option would have turned into more than $10,000. And that's pretty incredible considering the scanner could have pointed you towards this opportunity. You wouldn't have had to dig through dozens of stocks to find a worthwhile setup. You wouldn't have had to eyeball different chart patterns, and you wouldn't have been stuck in front of your computer all morning long. It's just point, click, and then trade. Like I said, Newton takes the technical out of technical trading. It can transform your charts from a hard-to-follow mess to a steady stream of easy-to-find opportunities. Now, it's worth mentioning that Newton will only pair with Thinkorswim. It's the only platform that can support all of its capabilities. And if you don't have Thinkorswim, don't worry. You can download it for free. In fact, that's what most of my team has done. They use Newton on Thinkorswim, but place their trades through a different brokerage account. And while I think that you'll find it very user-friendly, I never just give you the indicator and wish you luck. I want to take you by the hand and show you how to use it for yourself. I want you to have the same experience that I've had with this tool. That's why all Newton users will be invited to our next live trading session. This is where we'll dive into day trade and swing trade opportunities. I'll also show you how to use Newton to trade to the downside as well. So if anyone wants to use puts, leverage some downside profits, I'll show you that too. As you might expect, it works just as well if you like to trade short. And in my opinion, there is no better way to level up your trading game. If you've attended any of my training classes before, you know we almost always find some worthwhile opportunities. And here's what a few of our top attendees have said. Alicia here said 300% on Apple calls during the May free class. Awesome, super grateful. Howard made 160% on Apple yesterday. David, I love you, man. Free trades are awesome. He's on target to make over $500,000 between two of my programs this year. Obviously, that's an outstanding testimony there. $500,000 from David. Greg says, we'll close out tomorrow on SMCI for 100% gain, $2,650 in profits. Woo-hoo. What about Howard here?
Ok, aquí tenemos otra presentación. La razón por la cual hago estas retransmisiones del seminarios que me envían a mí es para que ustedes vean. Este moderador fue un caos. Tiene una velocidad prácticamente 34 minutos hablando, que parecía que yo una máquina de coser. Así que este señor habla de otro modelo de... Al principio enseñaba los algoritmos, que mira la cantidad de líneas de programación que tiene, bla, 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 y ofrece una idea de que ustedes puedan estar trabajando con... hay que pagar el servicio, por supuesto. Hay que estar trabajando con con este programa le da las entradas, o sea, lo que le llamamos nosotros los back shop, y entonces este programa te dice la entrada y la salida, y uno ve las gráficas y uno se da cuenta que no hace falta que alguien te diga dónde entrar y dónde salir para 53 días, 23 días, 65 días, 17 días. No es correcto estarse entregando a estas dinámicas de aperturas y cierre orientada por un calculador que mantiene una retórica, bien complicada para poderla entender a largo plazo y tener un fichero abierto, tener una posición abierta, un programa abierto, una plataforma abierta con $5, y no tendría yo problema para hacerlo. Yo podría poner $5 en inteligencia artificial, no tengo ningún problema. Puedo poner $10, puedo poner $25, puedo poner, pero no hace falta entrar a la inteligencia artificial, todavía está muy nuevo esto. Como lo dicen ambos, el de hoy y el de ayer, el nivel de resultado todavía está muy bajo. Pero quiero mostrarles lo que cuesta aprenderlo por uno y dejar toda la responsabilidad en una inteligencia artificial que en algún momento se despierta equivocada y dice: compre donde no debe comprar y venda donde no debe vender, y usted perdió la plata por algo que no puedes hacerle reclamación. Es un calculador automático conectado a Thinthor. Se conecta a tu broker y ellos se encargan de hacer transacciones ahí, y un día viene alguien y hay que ser muy inocente. Pero bueno, el objetivo es ponerlo para que ustedes puedan entender qué debe estar pendiente el operador. El operador debe estar pendiente de eso. Hay que tener mucho cuidado. Así que mucha suerte. Esta semana nos fue muy bien. Esto fue un activo salvaje que hubo hoy, donde le estaba haciendo yo la indicación a Carlos que había que observar esta condición que se estaba produciendo. Una vela inteligente, la 1, la 2 y la 3. Así que cuídense mucho, pórtense bien, todo está yendo muy bien. Esta semana me fue muy bien esta semana, no me puedo quejar. Hoy me pude dar el lujo de comprarme un juguetico caro, un poquito caro. Así que